Welcome, everybody, to Blue Star Connection here with Kelly, and I am Kim, and we're so glad you're here today. And so, Kelly, how is your day going?
My day's going pretty well. I've had a good day. Had a couple clients today. The weather has been decent, not too cold. It's going well. Thank you. How about your day?
I've had ups and downs, so I'm on the up because I'm here,
There you go.
and I'm glad to be here and to share because we learn all this stuff, and what good to do if we keep it to ourselves, right?
Right. And today we're learning about the art of the warrior, how we can all be a little more like, I don't know, like the warrior, to just be able to flow in the present moment.
Sounds good. It kind of flows off of our last podcast on the Wu Wei. So go back, it was about a month ago, and check that out if you don't know what that means. Let's start with a poem by Christopher Timms, The Eternal Teachings. So if you'd like, you can close your eyes. I like to do that so you can focus, not be distracted by all the stuff around. Here we go. There is an essence that binds and sustains and is all life. This essence, this living presence, is the oneness that you are. The oneness that you are. Shapeless, formless, and eternal are you, with no boundary, with no container. You were never born, so you can never die. This is the oneness that you are. This is the oneness that you are. With nothing to grow into and nothing to become, for you are all life. You are all life. There is no separation between you and me, the air that we breathe, the sun that shines upon us, or the earth that we walk on. No separation at all. All life is one, always has been and always will be. And this oneness that is the air and the earth, this oneness that is the seasons for the harvest and the laughter of the children, this is the oneness that you are. This is the oneness that you are. This cannot be taught to you, for this is not to be understood. This is only to be experienced, appreciated, and realized. Accept this and be free. Accept this and be free. Accept this, all of this, and be. Just be. Just be. Just be. Now just take a breath in. And as you exhale, let it out slowly. And as you reach the end of your exhale, just touch the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth and just help you ground in and relax into this moment and be present. And when you're ready, you can allow your eyes to open. All right. We are here today, as I said, talking about the art of the warrior. And this was Kelly's idea. So we're working on learning about the art of the warrior. And I'm going to lead some things. She's going to totally chime in because she's just a wealth of knowledge on bringing things together in her life, in real life, and things she's read and her experiences. And I'm going to try to share what I can. So I just want to start with the opening story about 3 warriors. And let me mute everybody. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. This is a story about 3 warriors. Imagine 3 warriors meeting at a crossroads, not in the same time, not in the same country, but in the same human dilemma. The first stands on the ancient battlefield in China. He wears a general's armor, but holds his sword low. He says, "The greatest victory is the one where no blood is spilled. Win the mind, and you win the battle." He has studied terrain, timing, and human nature. He knows reacting emotionally loses wars. His power is calm strategy. The second warrior stands in a chariot between 2 armies in India. His hands tremble as he looks at people he loves on both sides. He says, "How can I fight when my heart is torn?" His guide beside him replies, "You are not here to control outcomes. You are here to act in alignment with truth." This warrior learns that courage is not aggression. It is devotion to what is right, even when it is hard. The third warrior, he stands under fluorescent lights at a small gas station at night. No armor, no battlefield, just the hum of everyday life. A quiet mentor asks him, "Where are you?" He starts to answer philosophically, but then notices his breath, the ground under his feet, the moment he is standing in. He realizes the real battle has always been inside his own mind. So 3 warriors, 3 words, 1 lesson, 3 worlds, 3 warriors, 3 worlds, 1 lesson. The real opponent is not the person across from you. It is fear, distraction, ego, and unconscious living. The real victory is clarity over chaos, presence over autopilot, and alignment over impulse. So maybe the art of the warrior isn't about fighting at all. Maybe it's about mastering the mind, acting with integrity, and showing up fully for life. And the question we're exploring today is, what does it mean to be a warrior in a world where the battlefield is often invisible? That's what we live in today. So, Kelly, any thoughts you have coming to mind?
Just listening to the words that you read, and it reminds me of, just like you just said, everything that we're going through today in heaven through millennia. You know, we're all working to figure out this life, you know, this world called life. And stillness becomes so crucial in all of this, because that's where we're going to have those clarities, where we're going to be able to, if you want to per se win the battle, is when you're in stillness, when you're not overreacting. You drive down the road and, you know, someone cuts you off, and if you're having a bad day, you're probably going to say some not very nice words. But, you know, if you're have that more stillness within you, your light, sound, and presence within you, or as you call it, LSP, you tend to be able to, they must be in a hurry, we'll just kind of flow with it. It goes back to our podcast last time, you know, the flow of letting things go. So the art of the warrior is just an add-on to that. It's just us figuring out life, learning how to be still within us when our mind wants to be full of chaos, and us just being there to be able to breathe through it all and move in a orderly fashion and not so fast-paced, no high-speed internet kind of thing that we got going on now.
That's right. And if you're not familiar with Light, Sound, and Presence, go watch the Wu Wei. But we will tie it in at the end of our podcast, hopefully. Unless we have to make part 2 of this. We're going to see how much time we spend yakking. We'll see. Do you have the definition of the art of the warrior handy with you? You want to go over that?
I can. Definition. It is, so the definition here is, it is not about fighting people, which we've just talked about. We're not fighting. It's about mastery over self, mind, energy, and response. The art part means that this is not brutal force, it's skillful living. And the warrior battlefield is within. It's not with anybody else. When you're mad at somebody, are you really mad at them, or are you mad at yourself? Or is there an aspect of you that's been triggered from something that's happened in the past that is causing the battle within? The warrior is someone who faces life consciously, holds the inner discipline, acts with courage without aggression, protects truth, integrity, and life, and chooses awareness over reactivity. It's the same thing with, the guy who cut you off while you're driving down the road. Are you going to flow with it, or are you going to react to it? So we're all striving to be that warrior.
Yeah, I really liked what you said about, are you mad at them or are you mad at yourself?
Yeah.
Because I can't think of a specific example on the moment, but when somebody gets mad, it's like, well, are you mad at yourself because you procrastinated and didn't take care of this, so then when something happened, you weren't ready? Was it because something happened, or is it because you're mad at yourself because you didn't do what you thought you should do, it didn't happen, whatever? But I really do relate to that, and that's why I try not to procrastinate.
Yep, because if you procrastinate, then you know what? You may have not done your research that you wanted to do, and now the deadline is here, and you've got to figure out, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? I think we talked about this a little this morning with me, just having anxiety from waking up this morning and like, oh my gosh, we have this podcast today, and I'm just like, I feel prepared, but I don't feel prepared. How am I going to pull this through? It's that kind of stuff, you're projecting, but you don't want to project. and that, but as I said, I'm like, I want to be, what did I say? My word that I'm looking for. I wanted to be transparent with you this morning when I said, I would love to say I'm gung-ho ready for this, and all of a sudden I'm like, I have these butterflies in my belly. I'm nervous. I'm like, how are we going to pull this off today? So me just trying to have that, that integrity with life and with you and with others, that, it's that skill that we're all working towards, with that oneness within us. And, in the Bodhisattva, it's that oneness within us, the eternal teachings, the oneness within us. And, we tend to always kind of look outward instead of looking inward, and our answers are there.
Yeah, yeah. I would agree with that. So I'm gonna talk about just comparing the warrior versus the fighter, and then if you can talk about the qualities after that of the warrior, as we are speaking of them today. So the fighter reacts, but the warrior responds. The fighter is driven by ego or fear. The warrior is guided by purpose. The fighter needs an enemy, but the warrior faces his inner shadows.
Yep.
The fighter proves worth through conflict and winning, right? And the warrior acts only when needed and only protects what matters. And we're going to get into that. Just what matters is all that matters.
Yes.
But seriously, do you want to fight for something that doesn't matter? Do you really care if it's blue or green? You know, does it matter what color cup you get? If you're a kid, yeah, they always want the purple cup. Every time my grandkids come over, I want purple. Don't know why. Because the other one wants purple, so they decided they want purple. Because I only have one purple. Anyhow, so I do have a couple questions before we get to the qualities that our audience might want to think about for themselves, and maybe we can comment if we think of anything. Where do we fight when we could be warriors? And what does a spiritual warrior protect today? I would think you protect your family. Is that in your health? What really matters to protect, and what are our priorities? What do you say?
I feel like it's a little bit individually per person. Upmost for me is my stillness. Cultivating that stillness is my utmost importance, because within that stillness, I can handle the things that are thrown at me on the battlefield. Do I always act in that stillness? Oh, no. Oh, no. No. And last week, my little horns and my little pitchfork came out, and, I was not a very nice person for, a few hours as I walked into my dad's house and said, "Dad, the grizzly bear is here today. Just watch out. If I start to roar at you, just step back. I'll reclaim myself here in a few minutes." But yeah, I mean, do I do that normally? No. But when things happen, sometimes it just builds, and sometimes the pressure cooker just lets go, and you do your best to stay in stillness, and when it's not, sometimes it can look pretty ugly, but that is the battle within, right?
Yeah, well, I would say that you are actually being a warrior, because we'll get into it later. Part of being the warrior, the art of being the warrior, is knowing yourself, and you knew you were being a bear, so you told your dad, like, I'm in this mood, and just know it.
Yeah, and I do that. On occasion. If I really feel it inside, I'm like, oh my gosh. Or I'll tell my husband, I'm like, you know what? I'm just letting you know, I've got things brewing inside me. You better stand back. Just leave me alone. Let me work through this. I will change my attitude here, but you got to give me some time, because and it's nothing that he has done or anybody else. Sometimes it's just those feelings that boil up inside of us, and you're just kind of like, okay, better not irritate me or get me set off, because I'm going to bark, and my bark's going to be pretty loud. And I'm sure you've had situations that way too, right?
Yeah. I can't think of any right now, but yeah, I usually just, I guess I do. Like today, I just went into another room. I'll just look out the window. I don't know what I could say that would help, so I'm just going to go away. I picked my battle. There you go.
Yep. You picked your battle.
What I said wasn't going to make a difference at that moment, so forget it. So, yeah. All right. Do you want to mention any of the qualities that we've got listed?
Well, some of the qualities is discernment. And what does discernment mean to you?
Oh, you're literally asking me or the audience?
I'm asking you. What does discernment mean to you without reading the quality? Discernment is one of the qualities, but what do you feel like it means? And then I'll read the definition.
Well, surface, when I just hear discernment, not thinking art of the warrior, I think what is truth? That's what it means to me. Discerning truth, what maybe discerning what really matters, what should I focus on? That's what I would say.
Yeah. In the definition, the art of the warrior is knowing when to act and when to stand alone. Not every battle is yours, you know. I didn't have a battle with my dad. My dad wasn't the issue. He wasn't the bear that I became. So for me, I really didn't want to act out on him because he's just the bystander. You know, it was something else that happened a little bit earlier in the day that really made me more the bear than anything else. But you discern and you walk through it and you learn through it and you move on. So
how did you get over being the bear? Just time?
Time, and I think just being able to talk it out a little bit. My dad actually was there, and I just kind of gave him a synopsis. He's like, so what's going on? And I gave him well, I had this. I mean, I had like 4 or 5 things coming at me, and the one was that the straw that broke the camel's back that just kind of pushed me over the edge. And so, you do your best at the time with the situation you have at hand. You know, my mom would tell me that with the kids. She's like, being a parent, you're doing the best you can in the situations that you're put in. They're not always going to be your good mom moments. You're going to have some ugly mom moments, but you do the best you can, and hopefully your kids someday will understand, and understand why you did what you did, and understand, what, sometimes parents make mistakes, moms makes mistakes, and there's times now I tell my kids I'm sorry for what I did in the past, but when we were in that situation, it was kind of tense and difficult, and yes, I didn't always act from a place of stillness, but then back then I didn't have a lot of the stillness or a lot of the tools that I have now to help me cultivate that stillness and stay in that without exploding all the time. Now I can stop and kind of take that breath before I explode and go on with my conversation, whether it's with my kids or my husband or someone else that I am dealing with. So, yeah.
Cool.
So another quality is self-mastery. I think we just went over this one. Regulating our emotions, training the mind instead of being ruled by it. Yeah, that's a big one because our minds will definitely try to rule us if we allow it to. And happens a lot around us all the time. So trying not to be triggered by others and their emotions, and that is a part of the warrior. It's just trying not to be hooked into everything that they're hooked into. What do you think?
I would, yes, I agree. And being the observer and watching other people without taking it in and observing yourself. Sometimes I'm lashing out, I'm yelling or seeing myself acting not as pretty as I would like, and I just observe myself like I not literally, but like I'm losing it. I need to stop. Or sometimes I'll be in a sentence and I'm saying it nasty and then I end it really nice. Have you ever done that?
Yes, because you're catching yourself at that point in time. You're like, oh, I need to be a little more nicer.
Yeah, especially when, they're little kids, that sort of thing. So, yeah, you just have to practice it.
Yep.
And I think it also helps me knowing that a lot of times when other people are lashing out, is that something within them that got triggered, and it's not that I did anything wrong or that I was bad or at fault. It's something within them, and that's their issue, not my issue. So it makes me feel good. But it keeps me calm, and yeah, it keeps me present and just be the observer. So that's what I have to add.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. Next one is courage. Not the absence of fear, but choosing truth anyway. So how does that feel? Courage.
Courage. Courage is not easy. The thing that pops in my head is walking in the grocery store in 2020 without a mask on and just smiling at people that are all masked up. And not that I did that every time, but near the end when I'm like, okay, I'm not wearing this diaper on my face anymore. But that did, I was just like, wow, that takes a lot of courage, because you're nervous inside. Is anybody going to say anything? And they didn't. I guess had that stillness within me that I'm ready if they say anything. And they didn't. So that was the moment of courage that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, that was you chose your truth over others' truth. And that takes courage.
Yeah, I wanted to be an example that, hey, it's okay. I don't know, that they could do it. And then, some people felt the same way I didn't want to wear it. If you want to wear it, I don't care if you want to wear it. But them seeing me will give them the courage to take theirs off and going like, well, she doesn't have to and nothing's happening to her.
Right.
So.
Yes. Okay. No, courage. I don't think I have anything right now off the top of my head for courage. We'll go to the next one, and if something comes up, I'll speak upon it. Presence is the next one. Being fully here, the warrior doesn't dissociate or escape. Being present. So that I think that's a big one, because it can go so many different ways. If you're not present, it can go with eating. Your emotions are going, your things aren't going well, and a good way to kind of disassociate with presence is, you know what, I'm going to eat that candy bar. I'm going to eat that tub of ice cream. I'm not going to the gym. I'm just going to sit my butt on the couch, you know. But if you're in presence, and that you're going to discern on, you know what, yes, my emotions are high right now, but I'm not going to eat that candy bar. I'm not going to sit in front of the TV. I'm still going to go work out, or I'm still going to go for that walk around the block. I'm still going to be doing stuff to keep myself present. And I know myself, I do that, but I have many times where I fall short of that. But again, it's just you're working towards that art of the warrior. You're looking at those qualities of that warrior, and you know, sometimes I don't always hold up to those, but that's okay because we're all learning, you know, and this life is nothing but a big learning pot for us all. You know, that's what we're here for, is to experience life. So what are your thoughts?
Well, speaking of pot, so that's another way people escape. I mean, there's tons of them. You mentioned food, but there's gambling, there's sex, there's working out, there's, gosh, I know there's tons of them that aren't coming to mind. Drinking. And food really, and exercise, that sort of thing really is socially acceptable. Maybe not just eat candy bars, but you can just overeat just to eat. You know, you can overeat healthy food, right?
Yep.
And I think what a lot of people are trying to escape are their emotions. And if they just are present with their emotions, feel the emotion, they can let it flow through them, move through them, and realize that they're okay feeling that emotion. They didn't die. Nothing bad happened. It was an emotion. It's normal. It's human. We're having a human experience here, right? And it's okay. It's okay to be present with those emotions. And yeah, people eat a lot to avoid those emotions. So I'm just going to add this. It's not really Art of the Warrior. I guess it's Art of the Eater. If you're wanting that cookie and you know that you're full or you don't need the cookie or whatever, is think, what emotion am I trying to avoid? And feel that emotion. Take 30 seconds and feel that emotion.
And that's when you're present.
Yeah, you're present. You're feeling that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Until it kind of moves through. It'll dissipate. That's what they're for. You know, you have the hormones that are coming down and creating the feelings, and then decide, do I still want that cookie? Maybe you do, and that's okay. You're allowed to eat cookies. You know, don't eat 20 cookies at once. But, you know, just decide, do I still want that cookie? And then you'll really become the master of your emotions, which we talked about, that self-mastery.
Yes. Yeah. I like it. And it brings presence to the moment, too. So, yeah. Perfect. I like it.
And you might eat less cookies.
That's right. Our last one is service. It's power used in service of life, not ego. So, how do you see that?
I see that as helping others besides yourself. I mean, yes, it feels good to help others, so that is for ourselves in that way. But you're not harming others. You're helping them in so many ways. You could just be the example. You could do your own podcast and be of service to others. You could, you know, read to the blind. You could just not freak out at everybody. And that's a service to others. You know, control yourself. Just be the warrior. And that itself is a service. Or what is it called? Bhakti? Something like that. Bhakti yoga maybe is devotional service that Christopher Timms talks about, that's what I think that's what we're here for. We're here to help others and share. Like we were talking at the beginning, if we just kept all this to ourselves, that's not a service to anybody. And here it what do you call it? Leverages our knowledge if we can put it out there on a video and it lasts for 100 or 1,000 years. If they're even still speaking English, then who knows? But we'll be telepathic then, right?
That's right. So yeah,
that's what it means to me.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. It's service. We're servicing the planet. We're servicing our families. We're servicing our friends. When I work in my office, I enjoy being a service to my clients. I enjoy doing the sound energy dynamics. I enjoy doing the cranial sacral therapy and watching people grow from all that. The cranial just helps them move all back into alignment, and the tunings just take out all their little sandbags, and they walk out of here dazed and half here, half not, and they're so happy, and that makes me happy. That's servicing me and them, and for me, that's the greatest thing you can do is when you're serving others and helping them feel better, and because it just helps you. It just services yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, because we're all one.
Exactly.
It's all just me. This is the world that I am.
Exactly. So, and when we read the definition too, the art of the warrior, it's that truth, that integrity, that life, and all these qualities help us keep up that truth and that integrity and help us through life, because that's what it's all about. It's not about tearing somebody down or blaming this country because they did that, or who knows. It's I feel like taking personal responsibility, but also taking responsibility for others too. So I feel that's also part of the service.
Yeah. So can you review what were the 5 qualities we went over?
Discernment, self-mastery, courage, presence, and service.
Cool. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the history of the art of the warrior, just examples from history. Okay. The history of it, examples from history. All right. Just real quickly, we got the samurai. So their focus was on honor, discipline, presence, and death awareness. Then the native warrior in their traditions, they were protecting the tribe, the land, and the spirit. They weren't trying, well, some might have been, but they weren't trying to conquest others. And maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I don't know. It wasn't there. But that wasn't their main focus. It was to protect. That's what I would say. Then there's the Buddhism. They had the warriors were compassionate in their actions. They practiced non-attachment, which I would think to what the outcome is. And they practice mindfulness. And then even in Christianity, there's references to what the art of the warrior, they would put on the armor of God, and that was their inner armor, not weapons and shields. It was their inner armor. So those are just some examples that we found. And how would you describe the modern warrior today, Kelly?
Say they're healers, they're breaking patterns, they're choosing integrity over something that's uncomfortable, or doing something that's benefiting yourself and others besides just sitting on that couch. I would say staying awake in a numbing world. I mean, we're bombarded with so many commercials and so many people saying you got to have this vehicle and you got to live here, and if you don't have this, then you're not worthy of that, and statuses and all kinds of stuff, and it's just us staying in that presence and just awake and realizing we don't need all that. Is it all bad? No, it's not bad. It's just, do you need it? If you need it, well, look why you need it. If you want it, well, cool. If you can afford it, great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having stuff at all, not that. But I just also feel like we need to kind of look at, what is important to us and what is not. And the world likes to numb us out and say, we need this, this, and this. It reminds me of there was a Disney movie called Little Robot. Not Waldo.
WALL-E.
WALL-E, yes. And I don't know if anybody's seen the movie or not, but it reminds me a lot of this, because WALL-E's on Earth trying to find a little bit of life anywhere in this desolated planet. And towards the end of the show or the movie, when he does find a little piece of plant growing, it creates all kinds of things up in this mother spaceship where all these people are. And the whole show, everybody was in their comfy little chairs, and they were feeding them pop and candy and all kinds of stuff, and they were like watching movies, and they thought they were actually in, this was their life, they're running outside, but they're just sitting there consuming, and that is a world of numbing, kind of. They're numbed by just sitting there in their chairs watching, thinking that they're actually, it's almost like that 3D world where you have your goggles on and your virtual world is going on, but you're sitting there on your couch being fed stuff. And I look at that as kind of a way of numbing and not really living your life. And so part of the modern warrior is to not fall into some of those things where they numb and you don't even know it. So I look at it that way. I don't know. And then your inner work, instead of blaming others, looking at, before you start blaming others for doing things, is it blaming them, or is it something within you that's causing the issue and you think someone else is doing something to you and you're blaming them? So there's lots of us as modern warriors out here that we have a lot to contend with. But if we stay true to our stillness and to our mission, if you want to call it a mission, just living through daily presence and again, back to our LSP, light, sound, and presence, and just being that art of the warrior, we stop numbing ourselves. We look for integrity over comfort, just different things like that. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I totally agree with that. I'd also add that it's also overwhelming, all the options we have.
Mm-hmm.
And just things to do and channel. There's so many channels. What did we have, or you and I, maybe everybody here, have channels. I mean, we didn't even have cable when I was a kid, we got like HBO. There's like one other special channel. I don't know, maybe we had 10 channels at the most. I'm thinking maybe more like 5. But anyhow, and I think that's, people are trying to escape from the overwhelm. And that's where I think the discernment needs to come in on how do I want to spend my time and my energy? Because the warrior's protective of his time and energy and where he's going to focus.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. So.
Yeah.
So I guess in everyday life of the warrior, of those watching who want to practice the art of the warrior, we want to pause before we react. We want to speak our truth calmly, not attacking people like this is the truth. We want to hold to our boundaries of our energy and our time, and what are we going to do and not do. You got to say no sometimes. And we want to choose dignity over drama, not freak out. We can just calmly say, like, I'm a bear right now, so please stay away, because I don't want drama. And then we want to practice forgiveness as a strength. It's not letting somebody off the hook. It's really for us. You might have heard, forgiveness is forgiving ourselves permission to let something go. So we're not holding on to that nasty energy for the rest of our lives. Holding a grudge isn't helpful. And the last idea is just staying aligned under pressure, and going to light, sound, and presence is just stopping and focusing on the best way to handle a situation. And that's like all the qualities of the warrior: self-mastery, discernment, being of service to others, and all those. So we just want to be someone who doesn't need to fight, that it isn't always about winning. It's about, really, I would say, just being happy.
Right. You can also, I saw something, they also don't want to win a war because they fought a war. They want to win a war full of peace. They want to bring harmony to the land. They'd rather talk out the art of the warrior is more, how can we talk out conflict, and how can we work out our differences and have that open heart to listen to what others have said and what you're feeling, and coming to a compromise is also a really, I feel, very part of the art of the warrior, because if that warrior knows how to listen to somebody else's conflict and you have conflict, they can come together and bring more peace into the situation than actually, with blood and tears. I'm not in for blood and tears. So I'm more for let's figure out a solution. How can we help in daily life? If there's a conflict going on, what can we do to bring resolution to that conflict, instead of always having this fear, and not even it may be a fear for them, but it may not be a fear for you, but that fear is creating the conflict. So talking it out and coming to a resolution also help, and that's part of the art of the warriors, to be able to bring that together and come up with a good resolution.
Yeah, and it's realizing what is at the heart of the matter, what is behind the conflict, and everybody, winning. And it's not really compromise, but it's everybody getting what they really are after. It's not like, oh, we'll just split it down the middle and the communists get half and the free world get the other half. I don't think that's not an art. That's control.
And you don't want to control every situation. You want to be able to be the listener. You want to be able to hear what they're saying. There's differences between hearing and listening, and if you're not sitting there being present, and they're just you're not hearing what they're saying. You might be listening, but you're not hearing the words coming out of their mouth, and so that doesn't help come to a resolution. So that art of the warrior is that presence, that presence in there, that self-control, and being able to discern and just helping the situation instead of being more conflict into it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and doing what's right. Yeah.
And what's right's not always comfortable either.
Yeah, or easy, right?
Exactly.
So audience members, you can think about where in life are you invited to train as a warrior instead of reacting as a victim? Because I think being a victim is really a choice. Something can happen to you, but you don't need to be a victim of it. You don't need to keep being a victim. Maybe that's a better way I should say it.
Yep.
Okay, would you want to go over what we're going to follow up with, or shall I?
You can go.
I'll talk. So okay. We're going to compare 3 books, and judging by the time that we're in, we will do some of it this time, and we will complete it in another podcast, part 2. So we have chosen to talk about Way of the Peaceful Warrior. It's a book by Dan Millman. If you haven't read it, I don't know why not, but about a young athlete who meets a mysterious mentor named Socrates. And I actually have my copy here. There's many different pictures on the cover, but here's one. And it's actually, I don't know, it was a trilogy until he wrote a 4th book, so it's a quadrilogy. I don't know. But the 2nd book is Sacred Journey of the Peaceful Warrior. Awesome. Then it goes into the journeys of Socrates, who was his mentor back in the 1st book. So it's not really about Dan anymore. It's Socrates' story, which is still intriguing. And I don't have a hard copy of the 4th book because it's on Audible. It's called The Hidden School, and I'm excited to find the hidden school someday. You have to read the book and you would know. So we're also going to compare The Art of War by Sun Tzu, which is an ancient Chinese military manual, and it's about strategy, leadership, and conflict, and written about 2,500 years ago. And many people use it today to help with their business, their relationships, their personal growth, because it's not as much about war as it's about decision making and awareness and energy management. So we'll talk about that. And then the 3rd book we're going to relate to The Art of the Warrior is the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, that's over there on the corner. I think it looks cool over there, so that's where it is. I'll just leave it there. Actually, here, I'll show you. I'm showing you because, oh, did I freeze? Okay, I'm back. I'm showing you because this is the version that Christopher Timms recommended, but I listened to it on audio. And it was only like 2 hours. I'm like, what happened? So I think there's a lot of commentary in this. I don't know, because I didn't actually read this I listened to it. Anywho. Okay, so it's traditionally attributed to a sage named Vyasa. That's how I'm going to say it. And it's part of the Mahabharata. Hopefully I got that one right. Where it's presented as a dialogue between Arjuna, he's the warrior, and Lord Krishna, who is like his guide for the chariot, who's helping him really have the art of the warrior, I would say be a modern warrior in his time.
Yep.
I'll start with Way of the Peaceful Warrior, and there are 5 qualities that Millman teaches about the warrior. Hold on, a little noise and take care of. Oh, something moved. Let's get that going. All right, we got quiet now. So the warrior trains the mind, not the world. So if you wouldn't mind reading our little retelling of part of the book in our own words. Do you have that handy, or you want me to do it?
I don't have it handy, but
I would be happy to read it.
Okay.
Okay. So this story is about the garbage lesson. So Socrates tells Dan, "You're carrying a lot of garbage," and Dan looks around confused because the place is clean. So Socrates taps Dan's forehead because he means mental garbage. The old beliefs, the other people's expectations he had in there, his ideas of success that he never chose for himself, beliefs, assumptions that Dan's picked up from parents, his culture, society, wherever, like you must achieve to be worthy. Success equals happiness. More is better. Those kind of things. But Socrates explains to Dan that he never examined these ideas. He just absorbed them. Because you kind of think, well, they must know. They're older than me. They've been around. It's everywhere. But Socrates tells Dan that a warrior regularly takes out the trash mentally, questioning what is actually true. There we go. And Dan starts to realize his stress and dissatisfaction aren't from life itself, but from the mental clutter that he's carrying. And he realizes he's been filling his mind without ever clearing it. That's when he starts learning to watch his thoughts instead of living inside them. Because the warrior trains the mind, not the outside world. What are your thoughts on that story, Kelly?
I feel like a lot of us are walking around with a lot of, I guess you could say, garbage in our heads from early childhood, growing up, from school friends, from teachers, from coworkers, to other people that we've been associated with, and that they all kind of shape and form us if we're not present with ourselves or take out the garbage. That's kind of what I like about. I'm gonna throw the tuning forks in here really quickly, because the tuning forks helps take out some of that garbage too. When you do the SCD work, sound energy dynamics, and you're using the tuning forks, it helps get out the garbage. It helps with without painfully thinking, writing it all out, and then having time to forgive yourself and forgive others. The tuning forks just do it for you. And so we're bombarded all the time. That's the whole point of being still and having that discernment. Back to the art of the warrior, being discernment of what's in your head, what's going on, and just that reevaluation of everything.
Yeah, and I'll add TV, books, the news, all kinds of other possible garbage. Not all garbage. That's why you have to be discerning, right?
Yep.
And you know what? It reminds me of Thomas Jefferson said something, and I'm not quoting verbatim. It was something about questioning everything, even the existence of God, which some people might forget. Oh, no, you can't question God. No, he's questioning God so you know what God is to you, and then you can have that faith in what you believe. But if you just take it on, you're really not committing to it. It's just garbage to you, really. Sorry. It's just not as meaningful as if you had questioned it and chosen that belief instead of just being told to believe it. That's my opinion.
Correct. Yeah. You know.
So I think Dan is teaching this idea in his book that life doesn't need to change. It's your relationship to it that needs to change, your thoughts. And the warrior watches his thoughts. He questions his beliefs. He ends his inner conflict and chooses awareness over autopilot.
Yeah. Because when we're in autopilot, we're not making decisions always on our best interest. We're making irrational decisions because we're not coming from a place of stillness or, within us. That's irrational buying. It's like, I got to have that TV. That TV looks great. That's irrational buying. That's not that's not discernment in my eyes. It's more of an irrational part of all the chaos going in your brain that you've got to have this, and instead of being still and thinking, you know what, I can wait on that TV right now. I really don't need that TV right now, but that's going inside you and calming that stillness, that inner being that you have. And
but Kelly, that TV's on sale now, and it ends Monday, Labor Day, and so you need to do it now.
There will be another sale. And it may even be better than the one that's going on now.
Yeah. Or maybe somebody will give you a TV.
There you go. That's even better.
But we're just given those messages that we don't question. They just tell us so many times. That's like hypnosis. They keep telling you, and if you let it in without discerning it, then it's in there. And then you got to go to somebody who knows sound energy dynamics and have a tuning to get rid of those unhelpful sandbags that are weighing you down.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yep. Yep.
So, couple questions, and then we'll do the second part if you're ready to do that. So the audience might want to question, where are you taking on ideas that aren't your own?
Uh-oh.
And have you questioned your beliefs, your habits? We haven't talked about habits so much, but have you questioned why do you... What's the story about they're frying up some fish with something long, or maybe it was a tenderloin or something, and they always cut off 6 inches off the end and throw that out and cook this, and that's just the way they did it. It was some story, I'm paraphrasing, of course, and they finally questioned, Grandma, why do we do it like that? Oh, because my pan's only 10 inches. It was... they had a bigger pan, but they always just cut off whatever and cooked it that way because that's what the recipe said, instead of questioning that habit on why is it done this way. Just saying.
You keep cutting out, Kim.
All right. All right? Can you lead the next core idea?
You're okay. Yeah, your internet.
Can you lead the next core idea? Are you? I hear you. I'll work on it.
Okay. The next core would be, well, courage, meaning facing the inner fears. Is that my next one? Yeah, courage facing inner fears.
Presence is the warrior's greatest weapon.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself. So
okay.
Presence is, yes, it's the key teaching is past is memory, future is integration, and power only exists now. How do we fight reality instead of meeting it? So, a peaceful warrior meets life as it is and not as it should be. So if we're not meeting it where we're at, is it because of a past memory? Is it because of future imagination? Or are we meeting it right where we're at? Because the power is now, right? Our power is meeting everything right now instead of either going into the past or into the future, because you can't change the past. You don't know what's going on in the future, so all we really have is the present. So the greatest weapon is right now, what we have right now. Right?
Yeah, can you hear me okay now?
I hear you now, but you keep going in and out. So, are you still there? Did we lose you, Kim?
Here, get out there, go.
Intermission break. Pause.
Hear that? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you and see you now.
I was kicking the dog out of the room. I'm sorry. I thought this is my chance to get that dog out of here. He's opened the door. I have a very smart dog. Cool. So I did hear what you said. And if you're hearing me, I'm going to share a story that Dan, a story from his book, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, that illustrates what Kelly talked about. The night the gas station became a temple. So Dan came to Socrates hungry for wisdom. He expected something dramatic, maybe ancient secrets, mystical experiences, or profound speeches about enlightenment. He imagined transformation would feel big and unmistakable. Instead, he found himself standing at a quiet gas station late at night. Socrates was working as usual, wiping down surfaces, moving calmly, noticing everything. Dan, meanwhile, was mentally elsewhere, replaying his day, thinking about training, worrying about his future. Then Socrates asked suddenly, "Where are you?" And Dan launched into a philosophical answer about his life path and goals. And Socrates shook his head. "That's not what I asked." He told Dan to pause. "Feel your feet." Dan noticed the ground inside his shoes. "Listen." There was the faint buzz of fluorescent lights overhead. "Breathe." Cool night air filled his lungs, carrying the sharp scent of gasoline and asphalt. For a moment, Dan stopped narrating his life and simply experienced it. But his mind drifted again. Socrates gently pulled him back. "Where are you now?" Dan began to notice how rarely he was actually there. His body stood at the gas station, but his mind lived in the past or the future, replaying conversations, imagining victories, worrying about outcomes. At first, he thought this exercise was trivial. Where are you? How could enlightenment come from noticing smells and sounds? Then something shifted. As he truly paid attention to the quiet street, the hum of the lights, the rhythm of his breath, a strange calm washed over him. No performance, no planning, no proving, just this moment. And it felt complete. That's when it clicked. He had been waiting for life to start later, after success, after achievement, after becoming someone important. But life was already happening right here at a gas station in this now moment. Socrates looked at him, seeing the realization dawn. This is it, he said simply. There are no ordinary moments. In that unlikely classroom, surrounded by fuel pumps and flickering lights, Dan had one of his first true glimpses of presence. Not as an idea, as an experience. And he began to understand. A warrior's power doesn't come from controlling life. It comes from meeting it fully, moment by moment. So that's, I think, the light, sound, and presence that Christopher is always trying to instill in me. Is to just stop at those points many times a day and just be here now.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still a work in progress.
We all are still a work in progress.
So how often do you all fight reality instead of just meeting it as it is and stop living in the future and the past and just living in the now? Like Kelly said, the power is in the now. You can't do anything with the past. You can't do it in the future. The only control you have is right now.
Yep.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, it was beautifully said. It's, yeah, when you stop, whether you stop when you stop your car to get out of your car before you stop, take that moment for that light, sound, and presence when you walk.
After you stop, not before you stop.
Oh, yes.
We don't want to do it here.
You put the car in park, then you do your light, sound, and presence, because now you're shifting. You're shifting from driving at a speed. Now you're stopped and you're shifting. So you want to feel what your next present moment's going to be. So every time you're shifting from that present moment, you want to feel it. You want to be present with it. You're going to build that stillness within you so that you feel everything throughout your day, and you develop that presence so that you can be calm. You can be that art of the warrior with your shield in hand and, just be able to go through life and not react to, someone stopping in front of you, or because, someone didn't like the way you painted their room, or whatever it might be. It's that present moment, that there's your art of the warrior right there, is just being that presence and feeling these moments.
I also wondered if why he wants us to do that has to do with maybe we'll get some guidance, we'll get an idea, we'll think like maybe I shouldn't go in that store. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we won't know it if we're too busy thinking about the future and the past and we're not in the present.
Exactly. It can protect us from harm. It can be that little soft voice within saying, you know what, this isn't a good idea, or you know what, this is a great idea. Go for this. Or you know what, write this down now. I've got this great idea. How about a sound immersion? Or, go to Florida and take SCD teacher training so you can teach. Those different things. That those still voices help guide you to your life path that you're trying to fulfill, and that life's kind of pointing you in those directions. But when we're all in chaos, we don't hear those directions. We're just going, and we wonder why we don't have some of the things we don't have. It's because we haven't stopped to listen to see what we're supposed to have, or where we're supposed to be going, or what we're supposed to be doing, or writing it down and seeing where it goes in fruition and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I'm kind of thinking this might be kind of a good spot to pause on our Art of the Warrior thing. We talked about light, sound, and presence, and you all will go, and if you don't know what we're talking about, go watch The Wu Wei, WUWEI, that we did about a month ago. And anything you want to talk about before we close out with your poem?
We've got more podcasts coming with more speakers on Monday and Wednesday. I forgot to write down who the next ones are. I really apologize for that.
I think it might be Cortland doing Art of the Healer on Monday.
Okay, cool.
Because I remember Art of the Warrior, Art of the Healer. He's coming up sometime. We're looking forward to this.
Awesome. I look forward to hearing him. And then we have the big weekend coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend at BAM. We're doing sound energy dynamics, teaching levels 1, 2, and 3. And then we're also doing Teach the Teacher of SED work that same weekend. So it's a packed weekend full of a lot of fun, a lot of tunings, a lot of fellowship, and it's a great time. So you should all come and sign up.
That's in Palm Bay, Florida.
Palm Bay, Florida.
If you can make it there.
Yep.
Go to ChristopherTims.com and you can go to the live events page and find out all the details.
Exactly. That's where all the juicy details are. So, anything else? Do we have anything in the chat?
I don't think so, but why don't we say how they could get a hold of us?
Okay. You could start.
You can get a hold of me at, what is my email? mybreakthroughspecialist@gmail.com, or you can go to theperfecthealingspot.com is my website. I have my office in Abingdon, Virginia. So if you're within a 1,000-mile radius, you can come by. I'll tune you up. I do hypnosis and other glorious healing things. And how about you, Kelly?
I have an office in Plymouth, Michigan. My email is ihealthrestoration.com. And I have a website too at ihealthrestoration.com. So the website and the email are almost the same, except Kelly's at the beginning of it. And yeah, I do tuning forks, craniosacral therapy, and some nutrition on the side with it all. So yeah, you can go on my website, you can schedule appointments on my website, or you can call and make appointments. I'm here to serve.
And your website is I, like in the letter I, not like EIEY. Okay.
Yes, the letter I, healthrestoration.com.
Because you don't focus on the eyes.
No. That will be Christopher in a few months. That's not me right now.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'd like to just end with this wonderful poem that Kelly's going to share.
Okay. So the Bodhisattva is like the mightiest of warriors, but his foes are not common ones of flesh and bone. His fight is with the inner delusions, afflictions of self-cherishing and ego-grasping. These most terrible of demons that catch living beings in the snare of confusion and cause them to wander forever in pain, frustration, and sorrow. His mission is to harm ignorance and delusion, never living beings. These he treats with kindness, patience, and empathy, cherishing them as a mother cherishes her only child. He is the real hero, calmly facing any hardship in order to bring peace, happiness, and liberation to the world. From the 13th Dalai Lama. Thank you, everybody, for being on. We've had a wonderful time. Till the next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.